Hello everybody, I'm Raphael Perry and I find myself once again drawn to adventure in the Fabled Lands. Now then, it's been a little bit of a while, but Vorga the warrior has some tasks she wishes to achieve in the Great Steppes. She also has a vessel down in Wishport waiting to take her to Ankon Konu when she's feeling a little bit more capable of confidently handling those lands. For now though, we're going to visit the village of Vodhya. You are far to the north. The lands here are covered with snow most of the year round, but well forested with hardy fir trees. Smoke curls into the frosty sky from a nearby village. Further north, the peaks at the edge of the world dominate the horizon, grim and indomitable. They are completely impassable in these parts. To the west, the steppes stretch away as far as the eye can see. Eastward, rocky cliffs lean over the cold, grey sea. The village is called Vodhya. The people stare at you in amazement as you walk into the main square. They seem a pale, unhealthy lot, dogged by some terrible worry, their faces drawn and pinched. Then they pull their furs around them and hurry off, slamming doors and windows until you're all alone, save for a young boy that gazes at you wide-eyed. Above the village is a tall hill upon which squats a dark and windswept keep which dominates the land. You ask the boy what's going on. He just turns and looks up at the grim iron-grey keep and whispers dolefully,
"The lady Nastasia, Kashuf's got her, and he won't stop hurting us until she promises to marry him. But she won't. No, she won't. How could she marry the one who killed her father?"
Well, this is a great injustice. Let's go up to the keep. You climb a rocky, wind-blasted path up the hill. The icy gusts that howl around the hill chill your bones, and the grim grey keep that looms over you chills your soul. Two massive iron-bound doors are set into its featureless walls. No guards stand beside the gate, and no one appears at the battlements. Then we shall beat upon the door and demand entrance. The doors are opened by an old man with long white hair hanging to his shoulders. He steps aside and gestures for you to enter, looking at you with frightened eyes. You step into the hall of grey stone with blood-red banners hung on the walls. "Don't mind old Kevar, my butler," booms a voice from the back of the hall. "He's a bit simple, but it's difficult to get good staff these days." With that, the voice dissolves into laughter. A man steps from the shadows at the back of the hall. He is tall, built like a blacksmith, and completely bald. His eyes are a bleak, piercing green. He's dressed in an ornate red and black lacquered armor and holds a huge battle axe. "My name is Kashuf, called the Deathless. I guess you to be another one of those fools come to rescue the lady Nastasia." He falls into paroxysms of laughter once more. He wipes a tear from his eye, then straightens up. "Well, let's get on with it. I've no time for you unless you're here for a fight." Then it seems fight we must. You will fight this arrogant fool and teach him a lesson. Perhaps his arrogance is not without purpose. Let's take up a good stance here in front of the pillar. Now, we'll go for a tactical assessment. And hold. Alright, we'll go for a stunning blow. Bosh! That's a great start. Kashuf remains stunned. We shall strike again. Excellent. Now, I'm not going to try the shout because that won't really do anything. I'll just wallop him again then. Get that sword working. Aha! I was going for the end turn button there for a moment. Your last blow sends Kashuf's bald head spinning bloodily off his shoulders. His headless corpse slumps to the ground, but then, to your horror, the head and body rush together and his wounds close up. Kashuf stands before you again, completely whole. He bursts into laughter. Ah! Ha 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 ha! Oh, you're a good fighter. I give you that, but they don't call me Kashuf the Deathless for nothing. After a few more bouts that end with the same result, you begin to tire. There seems to be no way to defeat him, and you have no choice but to flee for your life. You lose some stamina points as Kashuf chops you at you one last time. As you run down the hill, you hear him calling after you. Goodbye, milksop. Please come by again. You pause to rest. After a short while, you see the old butler, Kevar, drawing some water from a village well. When you go to question him, he steps back, startled, and exclaims, No, no, I cannot speak with you. It is more than my life is worth. Let's attempt a charisma roll. Ah, that is fortunate. You convince the butler to tell you what he knows of Kashuf. He has bound his soul into a golden locket. It means he can never be slain while his life force is inside it. His voice fades to a conspiratorial whisper as he says, I know where he has hidden it. There is an uncharted island in the Violet Ocean due west of Sorcerer's Isle. Search there, find the locket and open it. Then Kashuf will be as mortal as you and I. Nervously he hurries off. Well, we shall depart from the village. Let us return to Yarumura. I'm not going to read the city description again, as I did that in the previous episode. We will spend a night in the Nomad's Rest. Now then, this could be quite dangerous. I've been informed by the game developer that the climbing gear can be worn in the glove slot. And I sold it, so I don't have it anymore. But if I get some more later on, you know what? Let us absolutely do that. It can! Excellent. And that makes a lot of sense. Now, I'm going to pop this over here, so both the flasks of fairy mead are in the same place. And I'm going to equip the Shadar Scimitar. It has potential for both higher and lower damage, but the combat boost is greater. So it should render us a more dangerous combatant for some time. We'll also once again don the Man-Beast's helmet. Although the sanctity loss is not good. I'll see about when fights are coming. Clearly it does not do well to lose so much of one's humanity. Except in times of extreme violence. Now, I will purchase passage to Yellowport. A merchant is prepared to take you to Yellowport. After an uneventful journey, you dock at the port of the sulphurous city. Yellowport is the second largest city in Socara. It is mainly a trading town, and is known for its exotic goods from distant Ankonkanu way to the south. The stinking river brings rich deposits of sulphur from the lake of the sea dragon to the town, where it is extracted and stored in the large waterfront warehouses run by the Merchants Guild. From here, the mineral is exported all over Harkuna. Unfortunately, all that sulphur has its drawbacks. The stink is abominable, and much of the city has a yellowish hue. The river is so full of sulphur that it is virtually useless as a source of food or of drinking water. However, the demand for sulphur, especially from the sorceress guilds, is great. Politically, much has changed in the past few years. The old and corrupt king of Socara, Corin VII, has been deposed and executed in a military coup. General Grieve Marlock and the army now control Socara. The old council of Yellowport has been indefinitely dissolved, and a provost marshal, Marlows Marlock, the general's brother, appointed as military governor of the town. To leave Yellowport by sea, buy or sell ships and cargo, go to the harbour master. I see. Let us spend a night in the Gold Dust Tavern. Just one, mind, for now. Keep working that stamina score back up. And let me see, I can only go to Marlock City. I can just walk along the beach for that. We'll head to Shadar Tor. You're on the road between Yellowport and Marlock City. Along most of the length of the road, a thin sliver of a shanty town has grown up. Tents and lean-tos line the way. You find out that the people living here are refugees from Trefoil. The city was burnt to the ground during the recent civil war in which the old king was overthrown. Fortunately, nothing happens. You come to the top of a wind-swept cliff. An ancient pillar of jumbled rock, pitted and weather-beaten, stands at the cliff's edge like a broken finger pointing at the sky. Seagulls sing their song of desolation in the air. Judging by the runes etched into the rock, the Tor dates back to the time of the Shadar, a race that ruled Harkuna so long ago they are lost in myth and legend. We shall walk on by to Marlock City. Marlock City is a huge, sprawling metropolis enclosed in a fortified wall said to have been built 1,000 years ago by the ancient Shadar Empire. It is the capital city of Socara. Marlock City was once known as Sokar, until General Grieve Marlock led the army in bloody revolt against the old king Corin VII and had him executed. The general renamed the city after himself. It is now a crime to call it Sokar. Clearly not an indication of massive insecurity on the general's part, by the way. It would probably be a crime to suggest that as well. The general lives in the old king's palace and calls himself the protected general of all Socara. Whereas the old king was corrupt, the general rules with a fist of iron. Some people like the new regime. Others are royalists, still loyal to Nergan, the heir to the throne, who has gone into hiding somewhere. Outside the city gates hang the bodies of many dead people. Labels around their necks read, "Rebels executed by the state for the good of the people." You best behave yourself if you don't want to end up like one of them, grates a guardsman, nodding towards the swinging corpses as you pass through the great eagle-headed gates of Marlock City. To leave Marlock City by sea, or to buy or sell ships and cargo, go to the harbour master. Well, first, we'll go to the Three Rings Tavern and spend the night. Then, we shall book passage to Wishport, where our vessel awaits. A merchant ship sailing for Wishport will take you for 15 shards. You have an uneventful journey and arrive in Wishport safely. Now, here we are, back again in Golnir. Wishport is a picturesque town set at the back of a bay rimmed with white cliffs. Fish oil, dyes, and other commodities are packed here for transport inland. The market is located in a warren of alleys adjacent to the waterfront. Each alley is dedicated to a different commodity. In one you can buy rope, in another lanterns, and so on. You hear the echo of hammer and anvil from the weapons forge just ahead. Well, let us head down to the docks, where our galleon awaits, and set sail. You stride up the gangplank to find the crew dancing merrily to the tune of a flute.
Ah, skipper, just try to keep the crew fair.
Slurs the boatswain as he hastily conceals a bottle of grog. You shake your head despairingly and go off to your cabin. Maybe you should hire better crewmen. As it currently stands, our crew is of excellent quality. Your ship is sailing in coastal waters, close to Wishport. Let's keep on sailing. Seeing the fearful looks of the crew, you ask the first mate what the matter is.
"These waters are haunted waters, Captain,"
is all he will tell you. Haunted by pirates, it would seem. The approaching vessel at first seems to be an innocent merchantman, but then your lookout points to the banks of oars.
"A pirate galley!" he cries.
Sure enough, at that moment the ship hoists the red pennant of the Kingdom of the Reavers. Her oars give her a good burst of speed over short distances, and she is soon bearing down upon you. Turn and face 'em. The pirate vessel crunches into the side of your ship. The attackers swarm aboard, screaming the war cry that has struck terror into many brave hearts over the centuries. Your men square off grimly with hooks, belaying pins, and anything else that comes to hand. They will die fighting rather than be enslaved. Roll 3 dice if you're a warrior, or 2 dice if you belong to any other profession. We're also going to get to add +3 for excellent crew. And I think we also get to add our rank or some vessel rating as well. Oh, current rank. We're adding 8 to this. So the least we can get is an 11. Which we... actually, no. Yeah. Okay, great. You help yourself to a pirate's treasure, which amounts to 450 shards. Their hold contains 1 cargo unit of grain, which you can add to your own cargo if you have room for it. Well, I'll sell it somewhere. Your mate advises taking the pirate captain's head.
Grizzly trophy, perhaps, but often there's a reward if you have proof you've slain such a devil.
Take it we shall. You're at sea off Knucklebone's Point. Your ship is hugging Golnir's southern coast. You pick up a man who you find clinging to a broken bowsprit. He tells you his vessel was wrecked in a storm.
"It seems I alone survived to tell the tale,"
he says as he tucks into the food you set out for him in your cabin. The man was pilot aboard a merchant ship that plied the trading routes between Chambara, Smogmore, and Metricians. During the journey, he teaches you something of the science of navigation. He also gives you a large potion of nature. Well, if that is the case, I might as well consume this one. You're off the southern seaboard, close to the wealthy mercantile city of Metricians. Sailing in coastal waters is safer, but slower than out on the open ocean. It seems pirates again. Then fight we must. Oh my goodness, really? No blessings that will help that? Oh, we are screwed. I had a ship and everything. You're hauled before the captain, a hugely fat barrel of a man with only one ear for judgment. Those not good enough are chucked overboard. Some are taken on as shipmates on the pirate ship to replace their losses. I had money. I had a ship. They seem impressed by your demeanour and you are signed on to the crew. After a time serving in the crew of the pirate captain who calls himself Scourge, the crew call him Barrel Belly, you distinguish yourself in a couple of sea battles. The captain offers to release you from service and puts you ashore at a port. You leave with 320 shards, a suit of leather armour, a katana, some rope and a flute. But somehow haven't lost any of my previous belongings, so I'm just gonna leave those things behind. You decide to be put ashore at Yarumura. But I just came all the way down here, for goodness sake. Fine, look, we're gonna rest up. Clearly we don't get to go into the southern oceans today. You hear a fireside tale about a tomb robber who tried his luck at looting the city of ruins in ancient Shadar capital. He carried a flag or banner of the Shadar, and this was some protection, but not enough, for he was driven quite mad by the gibbering ghosts that are said to inhabit the ruin. A banner may, however, still be of use. Well now, let's head to market. I don't wish to sell this just yet. Alright, here's what I will do. Clearly, I must go into the steps to search for the mirror. This land will not let me leave until that task is done. You are strolling through an area of low rolling hills, the Gemstone Hills. They are lush and green and covered in woods. It is strangely quiet. There are no birds singing in the trees and you see no woodland animals. You come across a tall stone slab set into the side of a hill. A rune has been carved on it, which you reckon to be the mark of the Trow, creatures of the underworld. Well then, in the underworld let them remain. You're walking across the plains, a featureless expanse of seemingly endless grasslands. To the west, the great steppes stretch from horizon to horizon, tough plains grass marching as if forever across the flat lands. To the east, the Gemstone Hills mark the end of the steppes. You're not far enough north for the cold to be a serious problem, but you still need to hunt for food. You find a wild hare to eat. You're trekking across the endless steppes. Your vision is filled with vast blue skies and tall grasses that stretch away in all directions, dotted with clumps of scrubby ground-hugging vegetation. After a while you come to an area of marshy ground fed by a trickling stream. Gnarled trees have taken root around the marsh. You see a strange, leathery-looking hut resting on thin stilts that are sunk into the marsh like the legs of some giant insect. Well, I have a magic blessing. I might as well make use of it for now, why not? You recognize it as the legendary hut of Guragoru. Guragoru is said to be an evil old crone whose hut is a living thing that can walk about on its legs. If she's evil, why would I seek her attention? The sun is swallowed by the horizon as night falls. You make camp. You are not far enough north for the cold to be a serious problem, but you still need to hunt for food. You find a wild hare to eat. In the morning, you reckon that you are north of Sky Mountain and south of Ruby Citadel. Now, yes, this is going to start getting dangerous soon. The steppes are vast indeed. Here, in the middle of nowhere, you feel a keen sense of isolation, a lone traveller in an abandoned land, but you notice a welcome change in the endless monotony of the plains, a depression in the earth a little way off. You come to a man-made hollow in the ground. In the middle is a shrine, bedecked with offerings from nomad worshippers and covered in symbols of the god Tambu, great spirit of the steppes. The wind howls all around, buffeting you from all directions. You have found the Fane of the Four Winds. You notice some of the offerings are quite valuable. They have been offered to the god. I will leave them where they are. Did this rotting corpse get moved out of here, or am I going to have to keep going back and forth to try and get the encounter? The bird riders would be very dangerous. This far north, winter's icy grip lasts almost the whole year round. The hard, frosted grass crunches underfoot, and a cold, drizzling rain plunges you into a dark despair. And here are the bird riders indeed. Riders come toward you over the brow of a low hill. Their steeds are not horses, but giant flightless birds whose powerful legs propel the group towards you with frightening speed. The riders hold long lances and their mounts have vicious-looking beaks, an unpleasant combination. One rider, a squat nomad in stinking leather armor with a long, greasy moustache, charges ahead of the rest, intending to impale you on his lance. That's pretty much an automatic success. Yep. You dodge aside, grabbing the lance, and heave. The bird rider is yanked out of the saddle and crashes headfirst into the ground. He doesn't get up. The other riders rein in their beat steeds and look you up and down. Your courage and skill have impressed them. However, 5, 6, do I have a potion? I've got a charisma blessing, so that's something. Well, let's give it a try then. Ah, perfect. Next! You cry boldly. The nomads look at you in astonishment for a moment and then start laughing. You are invited to their camp, which comprises a circle of wagons. The bird riders are of the wingless hawk tribe, part of the horde of thundering skies. You are treated as an honoured guest for some time and are well fed and looked after. You can restore any lost stamina points. Soon they move on to seek new pastures for their giant elephant birds. You camp for the night. The fur of your wolf pelt helps to keep you warm. You find a snow hare to eat. The sun rises, its warm rays barely warming the morning air. Well, we're going to have to keep coming back here and hope we don't get absolutely mullered by the bird riders. This might take some time. If anything, I would say this is a weakness of the northern steppes, where some events are extremely rare and easy to miss and are required. In many ways, I suppose we should treat it as not knowing the event is there and just keep roaming around. Ah, there we go. You come across the body of a nomad. He has been dead for quite a while, judging by the smell. The dead nomad has red blotches all over his face and his eyes have been pecked clean by the birds. The corpse is lying on a satchel. Gingerly, you heave the body over with a foot and take the satchel. Inside, you find the mirror of the sun goddess, which the priestesses of Nisoderu want returned to them. I shall drink a potion of godliness if I am to carry the mirror back to the temple. The high priestess at the temple of Nisoderu in Yarumura asked you to retrieve the mirror. Nisoderu must have guided you to the mirror after she cursed the poor wretch who stole it. Looking at his corpse, you muse on the danger of incurring the wrath of the gods. And we will camp and decide where to go next. Now, We do still need to get some parrot fungus and a witch's hand, and if we wear our helmet, we will be able to carry both of those if we drink that second potion. In which case, I am inclined to press on. You're slogging across the frozen wastes of the steppes. To the west, you can just make out a river, glinting on the horizon, and northwards a pyramid juts up, breaking the flat skyline. The shades of twilight are closing in at the end of the day. The evening is drawing on and the moon rises, bleeding its light onto the snow. You are huddled around your campfire when a man runs at breakneck speed into the firelight. He is a nomad of the steppes with a pale, wan complexion. He drops to his knees before you and says,
"Help me! Help me! They have taken her to the top of the pyramid! They will surely kill her!"
"Well then, to the pyramid we must go." The man, whose name is Sgarno, leads you north to the pyramid of Sinok. At the top of the pyramid, the light from several burning torches casts a greenish glow over the scene. 5 robed and hooded men stand around a woman who is stretched out on the flat top of the pyramid. The hooded figures chant ominously, and one wields a long, silver-tipped javelin. The woman is manacled with silver chains, and she wrestles and twists against her bonds, screaming and cursing in a most unladylike manner. You and Sgarno race up the steps carved into the side of the pyramid and confront them. "Hold!" you shout. "I will not let fiends butcher an innocent woman!" The captive stops struggling and looks at you with hope-filled eyes that are as green as emeralds. Her hair is as white as snow, although she cannot be much more than 16 years old. Her skin is pale like the moon. She is quite beautiful. The man with the javelin throws back his hood, revealing the wind-ravaged face of an old nomad shaman. "You stupid outlander," he bellows. "Innocent? She is the Rujban, the vampire witch. Many of the babes of our tribe have been taken by her to feed her monstrous appetite and to keep her young. Sgarno there is nothing but her slave, a dupe sworn to serve her." "Lies! Lies!" shouts Sgarno. "She is Rujban all right, but that's just her name, and she is my betrothed. These stinking necromancers want to sacrifice her to their dark god because she has white hair and green eyes." "Not so," counters the shaman. "This ritual is the only way to destroy the Rujban, a silver spear on ground consecrated to the old gods." You stand unsure for a moment. "Ah, we have no time for this," says the shaman, who turns his back upon you. He signals to his companions, who draw wicked daggers and advance on Sgarno, eyeing you wearily. "Save me! Save me!" implores the woman huskily. "Save me! Save me!" implores the woman huskily. "Silence, witch!" shouts the shaman, clasping a hand over her mouth. "I will help the shamans rid the world of this monster." Sgarno is quickly subdued. The woman begins to scream with rage and her eyes blaze with supernatural energy. "Don't look in her eyes," warns the old shaman, but it is too late. One of them has glanced at her. She sucks the soul out of him and he collapses, a withered husk of a man. After a short ritual, the chief shaman runs her through the heart with a silver javelin. Her body quickly begins to shrivel. A column of fetid black smoke rises from the corpse into the moonlit sky, and then fades away with a wail of despair. You're rewarded for helping rid the world of an ancient evil. We gain +1 sanctuary permanently. Afterwards, the shamans cut off her hands. "Without her hands, the Ruzban will be unable to open the gates of the underworld and return to the land of the living," they explain. You can take the witch's hand if you wish. The shamans clean up and leave. Since I've gained an additional point of sanctity, I can wear the man-beast's helmet. which frees up space for me to take the witch's hand. Let's climb down the pyramid. You're crossing the frozen northern steps. Snow carpets the ground. Rising up out of the white wastes, a great pyramid stands. It is panelled with a strange yellowish marble, and an ornately carved gateway is set into one of its faces, flanked by 2 idols. Curiously, it is untouched by the snow, and when you draw nearer you realise it is giving off a faint warmth, enough to melt any ice or snow that falls upon it. Steps cut into the sides of the pyramid lead up to its flat top, which I have but recently descended. Beyond the pyramids are the peaks at the edge of the world, massive mountains of mind-boggling size. Well, I shall leave this pyramid for now. Well, I can approach the gates, surely. The open gateway is flanked by 2 stone idols, man-like but with the heads of jackals. Their jeweled eyes gaze impassively at you. You're not sure, but you think their eyes are following your movements. I shall not enter yet. To the west, the endless monotony of the undulating steps is broken by the River of Destiny, its half-frozen waters flowing sluggishly into the Rime water. A black stallion stands on the bank of the River of Destiny, lapping at the water. That's a difficult scouting roll, so I will... Oh, I don't... Ah yes, the large potion of nature. Look, it makes room to carry stuff and helps with the roll. Nope. The stallion smells you and snorts. It trots up and stands beside you as if waiting for you to mount it. I shall not do so. I am reminded of the Brolachan in The Moon of Gomrath, and the old Irish folktale of the Black Horse, with no rider or owner, which comes up and is very friendly, and should you mount it, it will ride you into the nearest river and drown you and end your life. You camp for the night. The fur of your wolf pelt helps to keep you warm. You also need to hunt for food. No. You fail to find anything to eat and go hungry. The next day, a thick mist has sprung up over the River of Destiny to your west. Well, this is the location we need to try and find the travelling merchants, so I'll be visiting this one a few times. You have come to the icebound shores of the Rime water. The lake is completely frozen over, and the ice has a strange sheen to it. 3 sluggish rivers, thick with half-frozen water, debouche. Yes, I checked. Sometimes there's an E after the H, so it is debouche and not debauch, into the lake from the north. I also checked. So to debouche is for the water to emerge from a narrow opening, often slowly. So what it's saying is the river mouth is quite narrow, so the water emerges slowly, spilling out in all directions. Or no, it would be rapidly for a narrow mouth, wouldn't it? Yeah. Okay. On the southern shore of the lake sits a small complex of buildings from which smoke spirals into the clear, crisp sky, the ice mine. Which surely merchants will visit from time to time. There will be a little toing and froing here, as obviously the Rime water is the safest location I can go without having to worry or wonder about events. So the Black Horse is back. You notice something odd about the tracks it has left in the mud. They are not the hoofprints of a horse, but of a kelpie, a shape-changing water sprite known for luring travellers into the depths. I cannot have it place risk upon those who would travel here. The kelpie turns and countercharges, sprouting 2 large pointing horns from its head. Then I shall face it. There seem to be 2 of them. That's not right. Okay, throw in a tactical assessment. Oh, you've got range! I've got this. Well and attack. Yeah, and a shout. And I'll follow up. Right, you. And you. There we go. Excellent. You're about to finish off the creature off when it changes shape into a small furry fellow with webbed hands and feet and a thick heavy tail. Which honestly is what I face, is a much better description of what I faced than a horse with big horns on it.
Wait! It cries. Spare me and I will give you my treasure.
Where is it, you demand?
In a sunken grotto beneath the river. I will go and fetch it if it pleases you, my lady, it says grovelingly.
No. You lift your arm to finish the creature when it throws some coins and a jug onto the ground. You hesitate for a moment, just enough time for it to turn and flee, diving into the water with a splash. You find 50 shards and a jug of fairy mead on the riverbank. Now that may come in useful later on. Now though, we must ooh, a failed scouting roll. Okay, damage it is then. Back to the lake. I don't get to dig in, but so it probably was lying about the lake. I suppose actually maybe the pyramid might be a safe spot as well. It's such a small range, but it is a very rare encounter. A brightly painted caravan pulled by horses rumbles into view. It pulls up and the caravaneers open up the back to display their wares. They are travelling peddlers. And I require parrot fungus. I should also drink this to make room. So I've got the selenium ore, I've got the witch's hand. The parrot fungus is indeed what I require. And there it is. Squawk. Ah! A patch of moss as... yeah, my throat's pretty dry at this point. A patch of moss as colourful as the blotches you'll see if you eat it. Well, I'm not going to do that, but I'm going to buy it. And I'll take my leave. Grasslands. An infinite sea of flat plains. You begin to dream of rolling hills and cities awash with people. Here there is only desolation. You're deep in the western steppes and night is falling. To the west you see something glimmer on the horizon, the Rime water. To the south the mountains of the spine of Harkoon rise up heavenwards. You're not far enough north for the cold to be a serious problem, but you still need to hunt for food. You bring down a mountain goat to eat. In the morning you set off towards the City of Ruins. You're travelling across the southern steppes. To the south, the spine of Harkoon marches across the sky. To the north, endless grasslands stretch away. You come to a desolate ruin, its cyclopean outer walls crumbling now tell of a once great city. I have no desire to be driven mad, and I do not bear a banner of the Shadar. We have returned to the strange gully. You're travelling across the plains. To the south lie the mountains of the spine of Harkoon, with white-peaked Sky Mountain towering above the rest. Night falls and you make camp. The plains are flat and desolate and you need to hunt for food. You find a wild hare to eat. After an uneventful night, the new day dawns. Sky Mountain casts its morning shadow over you, and we will pass under the shadow of Sky Mountain to Beladai's camp. You're in between the Gemstone Hills and the citadel of Velis Corin. A vast army has made camp near here, some miles north of the citadel. It is alive with activity. Caravans of supplies and camp followers are everywhere. You learn that it is the army of the Northern Alliance, led by General Beladai. Beladai was the commander-in-chief of King Corin of Sokar's army before Grieve Marlock usurped his throne. Now, the new king in exile has made an alliance with the Horde of the Thousand Winds, the Trow, and the Mannequin people of Sky Mountain. Together they hope to take the citadel and put the king back on the throne. They are readying themselves to march south and lay siege to the citadel, but the citadel is supposed to be invincible. Well then, let's return to the Gemstone Hills. You're strolling through an area of low rolling hills, the Gemstone Hills. They are lush and green and covered in woods. It is strangely quiet. There are no birds singing in the trees and you see no woodland animals. The Gemstone Hills seem deserted. You spot neither hide nor hair of anything. Those entrances to the shadowy underworld are hard to find. Once again we have returned to the city of Yarumura, and we will visit the Temple of Nisoderu. The Temple of Nisoderu, goddess of the rising sun, is built around an open courtyard with a great shrine in the middle, covered in lit candles. Inside, 100 nuns dressed in flowing white robes and wearing elaborate wide-brimmed hats sing a continuous chant in praise of her. The goddess is depicted everywhere as a beautiful woman with a face that shines like the sun. She represents not only the sun, but piety, faith, and purity. The nuns of Nisoderu are skilled in the ways of petitioning the goddess to bring the dead back to life. The High Priestess can give you an audience. Well then. The High Priestess is overjoyed when you hand over the mirror. She rewards you with 150 shards and the blessing of the goddess of the sun, Nisoderu, granting us another permanent point of sanctity, which will be an 11 if we take off the accursed man-beast helm. And you know what? I'm gonna make a resurrection deal. Resurrection costs 200 shards if you're an initiate, 800 shards if not, but I've already been given 150 of those, so it's really a bit cheaper if you think about it that way. Once you have arranged for resurrection, you need not fear death, as you will be magically restored to life here at the temple. You can have only one resurrection arranged at any one time. If you arrange resurrection later at a different temple, the original one is cancelled. You will not get a refund. I know it costs 500 to do elsewhere, but I'm doing it here this time. The priests conduct the ritual. If you are later killed, you will be awakened at this very temple. Now, Yarumura's streets and plazas are cosmopolitan indeed. Finely dressed samurai swagger and strut alongside nomad traders from the plains and merchants and mercenaries from Saqqara and Golnir. This is a city where east meets west. The clan of the White Spear, however, governs it with a rod of iron. Yarumura is in a perpetual state of readiness for war as the fleets and armies of Akatsurai constantly seek to seize the city for the Empire. Let us go to the Tower of Bakan. You pass the Witch's Hand and the Parrot Fungus across the table to Bakan. Bakan hisses in delight and shuffles out of the room. Some hours later, a woman with ice-blue eyes and long black hair, serene and beautiful, walks in. "I am Bakan," she says in a voice like honey. "I cannot thank you enough. Bring me some selenium ore and I will fashion you a gift as a token of my gratitude." Guess what? Here's some selenium ore. Bakan takes the ore and makes a selenium wand for you. Afterwards, she bids you a fond farewell. We now have to remember to pick up our selenium wand before we leave. Yes, no longer should we use a mere ebony wand. This is twice as good. And we'll raise our magic to a 9. Then I'm going to go back to market, sell the old wand, and there we go. With that, I believe I'm going to leave this episode here. I hope you've all enjoyed this one, and I do look forward to seeing you all in the very next episode. I'm going to say goodbye for now though, and cheerio everyone. See you all soon.